Fall at Equestria, The Crystal's Howling Dance. By Megaskullmon. Read by Forrest M. Chapter 16. The Sun.
The sun, to many, is the glow of a heart. The glow of a sun is something that is hard to come by. The idea of the sun being the heart of the universe that it's in shall be formed that the sun will go out someday. But the warmth of the sun is something we need to see in the end.
Day 50. POW camp. Early morning. It was very early morning, and I came out of the room that was given to me. I felt so much better, and stretched. I walked out of the building, and Starshooter came to greet me, and I smiled, sitting on my haunches to smile at her.
Hello there again, little one. How are your parents?
She giggled and shrugged.
They're following Kip and Bulwark. They're looking for holes in the wall to make sure everything is good. Fleur needed to get back to her crew. She said she'll come back later. So I was waiting for you, since every adult seems very busy.
I chuckled and stroked her mane and smiled. I loved the little black filly. I got very protective of the little one. So I walked around calmly, looking at everything that is being worked on, and noticed that some stores are being built too near the far end of the camp that used to hold the platform that had the tank on it. I mostly stayed around the filly, watching all the workers, since knowing Kip, she wouldn't let me do any work. Deep Thought was speaking to Crow, and they seemed to be speaking in some tongue I didn't even understand. I looked down to Starshooter, who I hoped would become a big member here. I looked up to Silver Gunner, who came over, and Starshooter hid behind me, seeming scared of him.
Hey, Silver, what's up?
Silver Gunner chuckled. Well, we might have to go back out soon. But I got everything fixed and set up in the system. But we will need spare parts. Maybe the next trader that comes through, we should see if they have what we need. I held the little one closer and nodded.
Well, I will see if Kip lets me go, Silver. Now, apparently, I'm babysitting this filly today.
Silver laughed and trotted off.
So, little Starshooter, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Starshooter blinks and thinks a moment.
Oh, yes. I want to be a singer. I want to offer my voice to all ponies in this world. When I get older, I hope everything will be peaceful again. I was born here. I wasn't even treated well. Bulwark tried everything to make it easy for me.
I nodded and held the little one a little bit closer and looked around, hearing a gunshot. Ponies looked up and Silver laughs. Oops, sorry. I think he discharged his blaster. R.A. Proto replies.
You touched it, you crazy robot pony.
The robot seemed it was trying to be a joker. Says you. The two robots seemed to be talking back and forth as Silver laughed. I sighed and looked at the little creature with a smile. I got on all fours and stood a bit on my back feet as the little filly followed me, and I smiled at her as I got back in the chair I was given. The filly got on the chair and laid against me, falling asleep. I was watching everyone else do their job. As I kept resting and leaned back a bit, Bulwark came over and chuckled.
I see you met little Starshooter. I'm happy you found her. She was one of the newest born here. I love her parents, and she didn't deserve to be born here.
Oh, great. I'm happy I came before she got badly hurt. I held the little one closer and nodded to Bulwark.
So, did you find any holes?
Bulwark shook her head. Starshooter's parents wanted to help Kip keep her mind off her husband and wanted her to relax. She thinks of you and me because she demands that everyone follows her as her health thing really gets to her. I nodded calmly.
It would take a while for Crossfire to get back. If Manhattan is being guarded and watched by the Enclave, he would have to find a way to get there without getting those he cared for hurt. Speaking of which,
I turned on my pitbuck and heard the DJ.
Hello, ponies. This is Bowser Wowzer. Now, the news. It seems something big is going down. One of the towers got attacked,
and the Enclave is trying so hard to keep power. To those that have family in Manhattan, if they are on the outside of the city, they will be fine. They seem to mostly care about the deep inside of the city. I will keep you up to date to what I find. Now, for the music."
A song started to play as I turned it off and sighed. "It's getting worse out there. I think it's best for the rest of us to stay here till it calms down out there."
I sighed and stroked the little filly's head as she sleeps, and I see Kip talking and chatting with the two raiders as they seem to be close now. I lifted my ears a bit to hear them.
"I was born in Old Appaloosa. My parents were not the kindest, but they did love me. But I was tossed out after I got my cutie mark and my parents got killed. I spent my young years walking along the waste and found Silvergunner. Then my husband. I'm happy with my life. I just wish one of my friends would care for herself."
She looked towards me with a smile. I lowered my ears and looked down, listening to them still.
"So then I met that wolf over there. And at first, I didn't know what to think about her and Shadow. Shadow and I became siblings, and I love him. I love her too. She's like a sister. Why do I get how I do? She risked her life just to come back and save us all. I feel she could have just let us die, but I think we made a big impact on her."
I smiled softly, stroking the little filly's head, and stayed there calmly, relaxing. As it seems, that's mostly what I'll be doing for the next few days. I relaxed and closed my eyes a bit to rest, but I wasn't going to be sleeping. I just wanted to relax my brain a bit, and I got a big kiss and chuckled, opening my eyes to see sand.
"Well, hello, big guy. I'm babysitting right now."
He laughed, nodding. "I see. I'm just seeing how you are, Taria, before I get back to work." We heard a strange howl, and the fog started getting thicker. I stood up and grabbed the filly tighter and lifted her up calmly, and took her to my room and set her on my bed and rushed back out. The junk reapers still worked on the guns. I went over to the case and grabbed my pistol, and Bulwark was on the gate, watching. I got up the gate, and suddenly, we saw it. Large wolf-like creatures that had gas coming out of holes in their bodies. I looked to the orb. It was calling them. As they howled, every pony got on the gate and the wall, aiming their weapons, as we waited to see if the wolves would get closer. But they stopped, staring at us. They started growling and howling. My ears deceived me. I could understand them. They spoke in a tongue.
"Strange thing calling to us. We must come to it. We must."
I looked to Sand, and he nodded to me, and I growled and howled back to them.
"Stay away. The orb could kill you. We have innocent little ones in this camp. Please, we don't want to harm you."
The leader growled and showed his teeth and growled and howled back at me.
We don't harm those that speak and talk. We only eat the weevils. Why, our bodies release this fog. We know what you wanted to do. The Enclave murdered some of our kind, so we wished to help by causing the fog. But something is calling us. It wants to give us power.
I looked to the Howling dance, and I never thought I would do this. I opened the case.
"Every pony, back away from the gate and open it."
I grabbed it and ignored the pain for the time being. I was using my bad arm again. I carried the orb as the pain grew. Kip wanted to rush to me, but I gave her a look and walked out with the orb. I growled and howled to them.
"This is what is calling you. This simple."
I groaned in pain, showing them that it's a bad idea being near it, as I felt something inside of me getting affected. But I didn't know it at the time. But if I knew, I would never have grabbed it. It affected my ability to give birth. My stomach groaned in pain as I felt so much pain in that spot. I held my stomach with my other paw. I removed the bandages as I held the orb, my arm getting more deformed.
Don't come near it. Don't allow it to control you.
I fell to my knees, blood draining from my nose a bit as the orb glowed brightly from the fog. It seems rads from the other creatures powered the orb up.
It will kill you like it's doing to me. It will mutate you as well. Don't be the smart one. Don't allow yourself to be affected by it. Go.
The wolves looked towards it and slowly backed away. I groaned and stood up, feeling so much pain. They asked me, "Why do you keep it if it does this to you?" I said calmly in English, because I'm sure they could understand.
Because I've seen what it took to create my species. This,
I groaned.
orb of death. If it got into the hooves of anyone else, it would be used to hurt more ponies. Just like my kind used to be ponies, and then became like this because of the orb. I think someday it will just die out and then become empty.
I held the orb more, groaning again, and my arm spiked in pain and deformed.
I am doing this because I know sooner or later someone else will try to come for it. If I can convince through my pain that they don't wish to take it.
I walked back into the gate, trying to stay strong and put the orb back in the case, and passed out, my pitbuck screaming that it was dangerous to come near me. Day 51. Hospital. I opened my eyes weakly, seeing Fleur, and I was hooked up to an IV that was connected to Radaway. Kip was outside. I could hear her losing it.
What if she is dying in there? What if she's about to lose her arm? What about...
Shadow calmly wrapped around Kip, and she started sobbing. Shh, it's okay, Kip. Fleur noticed my eyes were open, and she gave me an angry look and stared right into my eyes.
You are lucky to be alive, Turia. She had so much anger in her eyes, it was unreal. I've never seen this mare so angry. Kip, she's had some of it removed from her system. You may check her now,
she said in a disappointed voice.
Fleur, do you hate me for what I did?
Fleur turned back to me and chuckled.
It would take a lot for me to hate you, Turia. I'm just unhappy that you went to hurting yourself to prove a point that the orb is not wise to be near if you're a wolf being.
Kip walked in and stared at me, her eyes full of anger, as Fleur laid down and watched to see what would happen. Kip's horn glowed and gasped, tears forming in her eyes, and she started sobbing hard as Fleur blinks.
Turia, you're pregnant, but if you give birth, you will die.
Fleur stands up quickly.
Can you heal her?
Kip shakes her head.
No,
I can't. I sat up and sighed.
I'm going to have this little one. It's the future. And who knows? Maybe I will live.
I smiled and gave Kip a hug.
Tell no one else. Please, Kip. Just let them know that I am expecting.
Fleur looked towards me. She had tears in her eyes.
Fleur, I feel this needs to happen. I feel this is needed. Keep it a secret, please. But I need you by my side until the time happens. I want you there, and to be the godmother of my pup.
Fleur blinks, and a weak smile forms on her face.
I shall. For you, Turia.
I looked to Kip, who had tears form in her large teal eyes.
Please, Kip, they don't have to worry.
Kip gains her composure again and nods weakly.
I shall do as you ask.
She smiles, nodding.
I want to make sure I use every day to bring happiness to you all and get this town up and going.
I tried to get off the bed, but Fleur forced me back down.
You aren't ready to move yet, Taria. She needs to check you more.
I sighed, nodding, as Kip looked to my arm and blinked.
Your arm, Taria. It's very bad.
Kip gave a gentle smile and tried not to cry anymore as she wrapped the arm in a bandage. As I felt so much pain in my arm, I smiled softly.
Don't worry, Kip.
I gave her a tight hug and then tried to get off the bed and groaned a bit, holding my head.
That orb really packs a punch.
Kip helped me out with Fleur, opening the door with her magic, and I went outside.
Well, I'm pregnant.
Shadow blinks and looks to Kip. Really? Is she kidding? Kip smirks. Shadow looked up at me and blinked. When did you get the time to do what you said? The dance to continue life? I chuckled softly.
Before I came to save you guys, Sand and I kind of, did that.
Shadow stared at me. So did Kip and Silvergunner. Fleur giggled. So, you wanted to rescue us, and you got yourself pregnant. Wow. Shadow laughs, and Kip giggles and smiles.
I want you all to be her godparents. Same with you, Fleur.
Fleur's eyes softened, and she smiled.
I would be honored.
Kip's eyes filled with tears, and she rushed to me and hugged me again, as I got on all fours to hug her as well. I smiled and went outside and sat in the chair to rest again. Bulwark came up to me and chuckled. Well, hello. There you are, you crazy wolf. I smiled at her.
Hey, hello to you too.
Bulwark blinks.
Bulwark, I got a question for you. When my pup is born, will you protect them with your life?
Bulwark gave me a look. It didn't strike her at first, but then it did. Wait, you mean you're... I gave a nod, and Bulwark sighed and gave me a hug. I'll do my best, Taria. She smiled and trotted back to the gate. Fleur laid beside me as the rest got back to work. I was in so much pain. And then something small jumped on my stomach. I looked down, seeing the little filly.
Oh, hello, little star shooter.
I hugged the little one. She giggled, and I held her close, being protective again, as I watched the ponies and others work. I felt my heart beating slowly, even though my body was in pain from touching the orb. I looked back to see the orb locked in its case now, so it can never be opened again. It was a strong lock, it seems. That Silvergunner probably made. I sighed and watched them make progress, finding more Enclave dead and taking them out of their armors to use them for later, and then burning the bodies pretty far from us. It seems this little town was moving on as fast as it could. I rested a bit as the little filly watched me and nuzzled my chest. I looked down, and I looked down at her.
Is everything okay, little one?
She nodded and smiled.
I wish to know a story.
I blinked and thought a bit to remember the stories my mother used to tell me, and Fleur looked up and giggled softly. She knew I would probably have odd stories. I thought about it for a while, holding the little one closer to me. I knew I wouldn't be seeing her grow up. My heart broke from thinking of that, and I sighed.
I got a story. It's about a warrior that fought with honor, long ago in the land far away, in the land of green fields and wonderful skies, bright blue skies. A warrior with an honor-filled heart that wished to follow the sun. The sun was but a path it held for his journey, the journey of honor. He followed the path as the sun led him. It's something that is through the path that will become close to nothing and endless streams.
I looked at the little filly's eyes that were locked onto me, and I smiled gently. I stroked her head and nuzzled her.
The warrior followed the path to find the sun itself. He said it glowed so brightly and it felt so warm. If only the sun could be seen now. But the sun, to him, is but a path that shall never end our lives. It's something that will always become a way to learn the idea. It's not always the idea of others to be there in the way of being there as the sun will speak and sing. It's how we know we are watched by the goddess. The sun he followed just to see Celestia and sing to her his love for what she has done for the world. He then wishes to sing to the moon, but fight the evil that condemns the two wonderful beings.
She looks to everyone in the camp as they build, help, and eat.
Look around us, little one. We are the warriors of the sun and the moon. We work to fight in the name of the princess of the past. All warriors that wish to protect this world fight with honor sometimes. They fix with both ways to learn the idea of the ending story. It will never give an idea. The path that sings and the tongue shrilling music that calls us to fight for them. I fought for my own heart, and then I fought for the honor of them. All warriors even will fight alongside those in the endless future of the past.
I looked to the rest again and held the little filly closer.
But yes, the story. The warrior followed the sun to get through the pain of the endless dreams. This was before his world turned dark and evil. Taria?
I looked down to the little filly.
Why does the robo-pony hold that named shotgun? Do you know the story of that?
I smiled and stroked her head.
I am sorry, little one. I don't. I met him, and he had that shotgun. Its name is Remembrance. It seems that he didn't remember at first where it came from. He is slowly remembering how and why he got it.
Starshooter frowned a bit, and I smiled and hugged her tightly.
Now, back to the story, all right? The sun was leading the warrior to his hope to find peace in his heart that wished to show him honor. He faced a lot of creatures along his path that tried to stop him from fighting for the sun. He was broken after most of the fighting, but he stayed with the honor in his heart. But the honor never gave up on him. For the peace of the endless night, he fell asleep to be welcomed by the moon. He spoke to the moon to relax and calm his heart.
I looked down to the filly who fell asleep. I left her there, getting up from the chair and calmly walking around to see how the place was coming along. I looked at the junk reapers finally getting the turrets set up. I sat there, watching them work, as these two were mares in garbage armor. I could tell they were close, or wife and wife. I never got their names, though. I watched them for a while as they teased each other and laughed. The two just seemed very happy to be working, and they finally finished one of the turrets and went to the next. I followed the rest, and when I talked about the sun, I was hoping to see it again. It's something I've been wanting to see again, but hopefully we will see it again in my lifetime. I sat there, watching the two mares. One of them looked at me, and she seemed a little bothered by me watching. And she looked to her wife, and they whispered, and they nodded as they came down and smiled.
Can we help you, Miss Taria?
I blinked and chuckled.
No, I'm fine. I'm just seeing what you're doing. It's interesting.
One of them removed her helm, and she was a gold earth pony mare with one eye missing.
Ah, yes. It's a lovely bunch of work.
The earth pony mare smiled and leaned against her large wife, who removed her helm, and I noticed something. She had wings.
Wait, you're a Pegasus?
I looked at her, and she chuckled. Yes, I am a Dashite, you could say. The earth mare giggles and nuzzles her.
A wonderful one at that. She saved my life so many times.
The Dashite smiles and nods.
I'm Firestorm, and this is my wife, Petros.
The Pegasus removed her helm, and she was pure black. She found me after I was banished below here, and we joined the Junk Reapers together, hoping that someday I will be able to go back up to see my family. She leaned into Petros, and they both seemed content just to be working.
You two could live around here if you wished.
Petros chuckled. Well, we will talk to them about that, but I feel we could be very happy here. The fact that Wheeltread is dead and now we can enjoy the fact he won't try to steal from us anymore. Firestorm nodded, looking towards the rest of the town with a smile. It's peaceful. Hard to find when other parts of Equestria are fighting a hard battle. I nodded, sadly. Sadness filling my eyes and my features.
I wish I could help the rest of Equestria, but I'm not a big-time hero. All I can do is try to help the Lightbringer in my way, by trying to keep her behind from getting shot.
They both nodded, and I sighed. Not every hero has the will to go through each path of their heart to make the strong heart build. If we can build the path that always ends, we can enter the way back in. Let her take the hard part. We take the small part and remove the threat that could stop her. But that's the hard part. Sometimes the innocent might be the problem. Petrose nodded and nuzzled into her wife. I do agree with you, of course, a large Pegasi said, but we can't always just help those, even if they don't ask for it. I gave a nod and looked around.
I'll let you two get back to it.
The two smiled, putting their helms back on and getting back to connecting the turrets. I went into deep thought and listened to him teach children and keep them calm. Now, Nightmare Moon caused a lot of problems when she forced to keep the moon in place. She didn't wish to move it, she wished to keep it as a pure darkness. Now I know that seems strange, but you got to remember this is the past, and the past had a lot of interesting issues. But as we go on, we learn more about it. The changeling seems to be trying his best to keep the minds of the children from wandering. Remember, Nightmare Moon was Luna. Luna and Celestia were sisters that led Equestria. Let's just say that the war wished to remove them from that role. It's something that will never be easy for others to admit, but the path that led them to this was allowing the war to get as bad as it did. Now I won't accuse the princesses of this, but I will accuse the past ponies who got too hungry for power. I watched with a smile, listening to the changeling. I felt at peace as he did. I sat there listening to it. I calmly watched them and the little ones, loving the fact that the little ones listened over and over. I sighed softly, closing her eyes, and then stood back up and walked past them. I saw the gate open up, and coming in was Crossfire and the rest of the ponies of Misty Moon Apartments, watching Kip trotting to Cross and kissing him deeply. I walked over to them, and Cross chuckled. It was getting nasty over there. Very deadly. The Enclave was looking through each building for ponies, so I got those out as quick as I could. I got them all out, and your tools, Kip, so you can do your doctor work. He smiled. Also, I think no pony followed us. I sat there watching them as they smiled, and young little ones rushed around, giggling and playing. As it seemed, they had cooking gear within the back of a wagon. I watched all of them and felt my heart ease up. Now, Kip can be happy, and I felt a lanky ghoul nuzzle my side, and I looked to Fleur with a smile.
Hello, my friend. How's your ship?
We are thinking of taking it apart and moving it into this little town, because I feel it's safer for the rest of us to be in here than out there. Maybe I could build an inn in the cave and have my crew take care of it with me.
I chuckled softly, nodding.
I agree. That would be interesting. But you're gonna take it all apart? Did you tell your crew that you wished to do this?
She nodded calmly and leaned against me. I didn't care for the smell, as I got used to it.
Yeah, I told them I needed to keep an eye on you and the little pup you have. I feel that is the only way I can help. I heard you were telling Starshooter a story about the sun.
I stayed, looking at the ponies from the Misty Moon Apartments.
It's a story my race made up, but with some truth. Before we became so... Some of our race did travel the land. One of them walked, following the sun, but the sun was his heart mostly. He was a hunter, not a warrior like me, but this was during a time where our species was dying of hunger. He was crying for the goddess to give us food, so he kept following the sun. But the sun is not the orb, that we normally see in the sky.
I sighed.
The orb is our honor, our way of living. If we never allow the sun to fill our souls with happiness, we become empty and hateful, like I did for a while. It's something I'm not happy about, but it's something I know that will happen again. Someday, I will give hate. I will see hate. I feel the ponies of old lost their will and way, with their hearts being empty.
I looked to the Howling dance.
I think that robbed our honor from us, because we cared too much about what created us. To learn that didn't really create us. It was a pony project to keep the pony way of life, to expand. It made us live longer. But to what end, though? To watch the world become more hateful as the Lightbringer tries to cleanse it of the hate?
I looked to Fleur, who had a gentle smile on her face.
Taria, I think you worry too much for how others see you. I see you as a strong female, trying to protect those that you rescued. You rescued me, my friend. I will do the same for you. I am sure Sand will be there for you, for the rest of your time alive. Maybe even raise your little one when you leave.
I nodded, hoping that would be the case.
I hope that is the case, Fleur.
Fleur chuckles and seemed to be a very kind mare that just wanted what is best for those around them. She warmed my heart like Kip did. I never felt such kindness. As Kip trotted up to me and nuzzled me as well.
I need you both to be strong. I know I won't be here. So please, do what you need. For me.
Fleur nodded and then stood up on her hooves.
I need to head back to my ship. We will be bringing in a bunch of wood and whatever else, even the beds.
Fleur trotted out of the gate and headed back to the cruise ship to tear it down with her crew. I smiled softly, and Kip stayed near me and put her head on my side.
What did we do wrong to lose you so soon, Taria?
Kip was shaking, and she had tears in her eyes.
I would say fate had something to do with it, but no. It was my stupidity, my friend. I feel I deserve this, for being weak and allowing those around me to fall. I don't want to see any more die because of my failings, Kip.
I looked at her, and she gave me a weak smile, and Shadow came over, along with Silver, and they sat by us. The first 4 of us, to save us.
It would seem that we are the ones that help save this little camp, even if we have to thank you for that, Taria.
I gave a soft chuckle and shook my head.
I feel it was all of us that did it. Thinking about you all, that made me fight so hard to get you all. I had to see if you were alive or not. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't stop myself from following the sun to get to you. I needed to see you again. I needed to see you again, Kip. I needed to hear your sarcastic mouth, Shadow. I also needed to see my friendly robot friend.
Silvergunner nodded and held the shotgun, looking down at it, seeing the photo, trying to remember these faces, and why he has this shotgun. Maybe someday he'll remember. I looked over to him and got a bit worried.
Silver? Are you all right?
Silver looked up to me, his eyes glowing brightly.
I know these faces. I just don't remember the names. I know they gave me this shotgun. I know I was there with them so long ago, but I don't remember how or why. It's something that is bothering me so much.
Kip leaned against Shadow, who watched the ponies come in. Shadow seemed to relax and smiled at his sibling. Well, adopted sibling. As he wrapped his arms and wings around her. It seems that we're gonna be together forever. Hopefully. Kip's eyes filled with tears, and she puts her face in Shadow's feathered side. I look towards the Howling dance. Someday, that is gonna be the cause of something that we may never fix. I watched it glow, as it seemed like it was calling me. I stared at it. They noticed I was staring at it. I slowly started to get up, as it seemed to be speaking to me, in my mind. Why? Kip used her magic to keep me from moving and forced me to stop looking at it. Taria! Taria! She yelled at me, and I blinked, seeing her, and wondered what the hell was going on.
That orb can get me, even if I just stare at it. I need to make sure I don't.
Someday, the orb is either going to be shattered, or one that was to control its power will be shattered. It will be a time when this happens, and the power will never end. I feel that day may be soon, when this orb starts to bring the fate it wishes to me. I hope when it does, it won't harm any of my friends. I hope down the line we get to see those in the future. It's time to follow the sun and be the better creatures we wish to be. I hope that someday we all will be. I look to the sky, hoping someday I will live long enough to see the sun again. Oh, that glow that brought hope in my heart. It's something I've been wanting for ages in my heart. To follow the sun and finally see myself on the other end of the road.